Snakes.
Snakes, I like.
Very nice.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Haven't even had much of this coffee. Where is this energy to come from to blame? Or to
Feed off of me. My body is your communion.
Ew, that's weird. This is starting off weird, everyone. Welcome to Carpets and Coffee, where we keep it weird.
Yes. Weird. Episode
Snacks.
19.
Yeah, man, 19.
It's almost my age now.
Oh, baby Lucas.
Those were the days.
When your knees didn't pop and you could get out of bed just fine without hurting yourself.
Was it the Richard Ross episode where you guys were talking about ages and like what you were doing when Owen was in college or whatever?
Yeah,
that was making me laugh because I still wasn't born yet. So.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh dear. Yeah. Well, what's up, everybody?
Oh,
good morning.
Man.
Here we are.
Wild. So, so I think it was it either last show or the one before that, Eric, you were showing that Timor Coffee.
I think it was the one before, but yeah.
One before. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I got the same bag.
Nice.
There's a friend of mine locally here who tunes into this and catches this either live or after the fact, and she's got 2 snakes for me, and I help her out anytime she's got questions with her. She's got a jungle from me and a rainbow from me, and she's more of a lizard person. Right. She was never a snake person. And so she saw me talk about some of my jungles at a Herp Society presentation and was like really like hooked. And so I set her up with one of the MI babies that was really gentle, and she's been, thrilled. So then she had to get a rainbow bow and loving that. And so, but she's still more of a lizard person. And so there's different things she thinks about differently than what snake-minded people do. And so I'm constantly, helping her out. And so she's constantly like thanking me by like getting me, Timor Coffee or those Australian Tim Tams, which didn't last more than a couple days. Those were gone. Half of them were gone in a sitting. Those things were dangerous. Whew. Yeah. So, but yeah, big shout out to Kathy. Thank you for the amazing Timor coffee. It's the beans are grown in Timor Leste, and then it's roasted in Australia.
Yeah. So you can get
consumed on one of the best Australian reptile themed podcasts.
There you go.
There it is. Wild Timor. Yes.
Oh, even Bezos got his hands on it.
That's right. What isn't his hands on?
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's delicious. I'm a huge fan of it. I've still got all that equal trade coffee and stuff, but I had to try this out. And it's one of those coffees that tastes exactly like it smells, and it smells really like you can smell the cocoa, you can smell the sweet, you can smell that it's different, and it's really good.
Delicious.
Yeah. It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. A little bit. It's a little pricey, but I like my coffee just like some people like whiskey, beer, cigars, you name it.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of musicians and bands these days are making their own like coffees and beers, and you go look at them on their sites and you'll find that they're not cheap.
Yeah.
So plus shipping, of course. But
Christian's here. I was just talking to him yesterday. He came to pick up a Brettle. What's up?
Oh, very nice. Brettle.
Yeah.
Brettles.
Or Bredley. Sorry.
Bredley. What's funny is we have some available at the shop, and so I put labels on them, and I wrote Morelia Bredley, and on some others that came in I wrote Centralian Pythons, and then underneath it I wrote Morelia Bredley. But when we first had the ones that just said Morelia Bredley, my boss saw them and he's like, "Oh, thanks for putting those up there. Oh, you put the scientific name on there. Wait a minute. I don't even know what the normal name is. What we always just call them Brettles or Bredley. What?
Yeah,
right. I don't even know what are these called."
Isn't that weird? How like some species, like some species are like if you talk about a jungle carpet, right? You don't say Chenii, you know what I mean? Or like, but if you talk about imbricata, you don't say southwestern carpet, and if you talk about Bredli, you don't say Centralian python.
Yeah, it's like with sulcatas. That's their scientific name. Nobody calls them. I mean, well, some people do call them African spur thighs, but that's a mouthful when you could just say sulcata.
Right.
So, yeah, it's interesting how if you ask most people, they know what a Bredli is or a Brettles. You know, you use those terms; those are familiar. But you say, "Oh, do you have any Centralian pythons?" They'll be like, "I'm sorry, what?"
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What are they the center of? Like where?
Are they the center of my flat Earth?
Oh no!
Oh no!
Not today! Not today, Riley.
What? I figured that was a safe one. Nobody believes in that crap,
With all the
right?
social distancing, have a bunch of people just been falling off the edge?
I hope so.
Yeah,
certain people deserve to find a good cliff face.
Yeah, good.
All right. Anyway, I got that out of my system. That was not targeted at anyone. I'm just feeling
excellent.
He was talking about me.
Yeah.
Do we need to air grievances in April?
No, I'm happy as can be, man. I'm good.
No, we got to bottle them up until the end of the year so they're nice and
nice and ripe.
Yes,
ready to.
They need a full year
to ferment.
Yes.
Oh man, that show. Every time it comes up, I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
What's that? Oh, the anniversary show?
Every year,
the
I'm
Christmas
like,
show?
Yeah, I'm like, oh no, what are we about to open up this time?
Yeah. Well, we did take Scott's grievance and we have worked on it. His grievance was the Bredli thing. So we embraced it. You know,
I think it's healthy.
Yeah. You know,
aha.
Get it.
Got it. You bastard. I got mothed coming in. It's beautiful weather out here. So.
Yeah, I still don't know
here
how to do the King Horny, Ryan.
King Horny.
Is that right? Is that really what it's supposed to be?
Speaking of which, did you guys see this? I specifically pulled this up in another tab because I was just
What's he got?
I think this is it.
Speaking of King Horny?
No, that's not it. Hold on. It's the other tab. There was, speaking of King Horny.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Boom!
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Wow, look at that beast.
Okay, so before diving into it, there is a little bit of perspective that needs to be taken into account here, right? So the snake is in front of this gentleman, between him and the camera. So part of it does have a little bit of forced perspective on that body segment in front, dead in the center. But that is easily a 6-inch in diameter, top to bottom anyway, because they seem to have more of like a vertical build. That's still a lean animal at that size. I mean, you can see the lateral folds behind the neck. This animal is not fat by any means. And that thing is like huge. It's a beast. And the caption is one of the giants found eating people's cats in the city of Cairns. But it's like, are they eating people's cats or the feral ones? And is that such a bad thing? But anyway, that's a beast right there.
I was trying to find.
That's a beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Very cool.
Well, Jack Oliver, there's only one eye after it. If you put two, you would say King Horny Eye. So you have a horny eye.
Oh my Lord.
Horny eye.
I guess that can kind of apply as well. Oh.
Yeah. There you
go.
That's
the big one. That's the big one we found. It wasn't quite as big. It wasn't, but it was big.
But that's still what, a 8 foot animal at that lean, like long and lean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ryan, that's an Aussie retic.
Yeah.
Sure. Get your head out of the gutter, Ryan. Jeez.
Always with the retics, man.
No,
he's lost.
I'm just kidding.
He's lost to the retics.
Well, he does have a popwing carpet, and he is shopping for another, so there is hope for him yet.
I was tempted. I had to go to the vivarium to get a cage last week, and they still have 2 or 3 Apodora. One of them was looking real pretty.
Yeah,
but that would be a bad choice for me.
That's $1,000. We're right out your pocket.
I don't have
Is
that.
Is that what they're going for? $1,000 now?
I think it was marked at 900, but
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty fair for imports. It seems to be the standard price for imports, regardless of age. I feel like the younger and more pristine they are, people might ask a little bit more. But otherwise, 1,000 seems to kind of be the going rate and has been for the last few years. Yeah. I have no idea what that does towards captive Apodora. Captive born.
What are you guys' feelings when it comes to these rarer species of snake? Let's just focus on pythons at the moment, right? And the fact that like the imports, I get it, supply and demand and all that, but like the whole price structure of imports and how like you could possibly what's the word? Like you could possibly keep somebody that may be successful with establishing a species in captivity away from it because of the price. Do you think that that's a good thing or a bad thing? You know what I mean? Like where do you guys, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a line where a certain dollar amount is kind of a hard chunk of change for people to spend, especially in today's climate, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So there's, that arbitrary line that's probably different for everyone. I don't know if there's more people talking about them and working on it, maybe in time that'll get better. But, I got to think that the price for those has to deal with, the chain of events that happens from the fee for catching it, transport, permit cost or whatever. And, whoever takes a cut along the way and then whoever's ultimately selling it here in the States marks it up for their benefit a little bit. So what was probably, $200 to catch or $50 to catch, in order for it to be worth their time and everybody else involved, it's got to fetch a certain dollar amount.
Right.
So there is sort of that low end where it doesn't matter how affordable you wish something was. If the steps to get it and it's only in an import are difficult, then, it's kind of unavoidable. But yeah, I mean,
right.
Maybe that's something to be taken into account for the folks producing captive ones.
Yeah, so like I guess let me clarify what I'm talking about. Like if you had let's a couple years ago, right? When I was getting into helm hair scrub pythons, right? Probably the top end was $400-500. Now you're looking at like $1,500. And the question was always like, okay, so like, are we keeping that species away from somebody that's going to be like successful with that species, put it into captivity so that, those captive bred, babies will fetch a higher price tag. Like sometimes I think that those prices are just like, sometimes they price out the wrong people. If that, if it ultimately to get those established in captivity, why do we keep raising the price? I guess is my point.
It's a good question. And Summer brings up a good point in the comments too, that some imported wild caughts are dirt cheap and others are $10,000 bullens with shipping not included, as Ryan put it. So like why, I honestly, I'm not going to pretend to know why that is. I have no idea. Do you guys have any thought on that?
I guess it's the market, right? I know it's probably supply and demand and stuff like that. And I get all that. And I'm with that, but like, are we hurting ourselves long-term by not getting so look at it this way, right? Let's just say that all of a sudden, they cut off Indonesia from getting imports and what we have is what we have.
Mm-hmm.
Are they in the right hands?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what I mean?
Cases,
like, and I'm not trying to judge anybody. I'm just saying, like, if you want that species to continue to, be established in captivity, what's more important, the price tag of it? And I think the price tag, stimulates people thinking that I'm going to make money off of this, not taking into account that like Bolin's is probably a good example. Like, I mean, if Keith isn't breeding Bolin pythons, I don't think Joe Smith. I hope Joe Smith's not in the chat. I don't know who Joe Smith is. I just made up the name, but I don't even know what I'm sayI'm just kind of throwing an idea out there that sometimes, me and Rob have talked about it before, where it's like sometimes you have a species that, and the Halmahera is probably a better example, because as soon as it was bred in captivity, nobody really, I shouldn't say nobody, a lot of people, it kind of lost its shininess, if you will, because you're not going to be the person that produced it.
Right. Those are the folks. Those are the folks that like them for the wrong reasons to begin with.
Right.
Yeah. No, you're spot on. I mean, there's no doubt that things like Bolins and other animals like that aren't established need to be in the hands of people that can do that. They have the know-how and the experience to actually do that. But flip side of the same coin, that at least it seems to me that is 100% not like regulatable. How can we prioritize those people? Who's going to tell the rich hobbyist that just wants some pretty art in the living room they can't have it? That's not going to happen. So
right.
Maybe that's just a little bit of a economic tragedy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We need a rich uncle philanthropist.
Yeah, we need some billionaire to buy all of them and give them to the right people.
Before I die, I want to do something good. Create a network of reptile arc breeders.
But you're spot on. I mean, in terms of the problem here, there's no doubt,
coffee
that is an issue.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I probably agree with that, but there's that sweet spot, and I think sometimes it gets a little too bitter, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, I think
there's a price point that weeds people out that's healthy.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then there's a price point that's driven by monetary gain.
Right.
So there's like that range.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just so funny how we put on these arbitrary numbers. It's like, oh, this is worth $10,000.
Right. Right.
Oh yeah. And it sounds like there's a history of that. What was it? 80 cents a foot in that Richard Ross.
Oh, right.
By the foot? Like, that's hilarious. That's amazing.
Funny how they used to sell indigos.
Even back then, they were like, I don't know. Price?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How big is it?
What's funny is like a lot of it was trading back then, like my dad spent absolutely next to nothing on animals that fetch like they traded stuff, or it was like $10 or $20, or like my dad had Indian pythons and he's like, nah, man, $25. You know what I mean? It's just like, what?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But
$25 for Indian pythons.
If only I knew.
I know, right? Like, we need Doc. We need the DeLorean. We got animals to go back and get back.
Oh man, that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
If you could each go back in time and get anything at all that was ever here at some point, what would it be?
Owen Pelly.
Figured.
That is something that isn't here now.
Well, in that case,
it's just super rare.
Up to you. Either way, just speak your truth.
Madagascar ground boas.
Okay.
They're nice, man. I like them a lot.
That's a species that I think needs more representation in the hobby. Not that they're easy to breed and they have very low litter numbers, like 2 to 6 offspring is normal. So I get why they're not abundant, but they're born the size of retics, like massive babies. I know Kevin McCurley has some, and he's, I think, produced 2 litters, 1 or 2. And I think that's a species that's another one that the hobby kind of let die because there weren't morphs involved and it was hard and they got big. And
boy, was that a mistake.
They're stunning animals. You talk to Keith about it, he'll you'll hear a real regrettable story of how he sold his and how he wishes he didn't do that. So that's just one of those species that's just a big, magnificent, underrepresented animal that deserves its just due again, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's very few people working with them, but amazing looking animal for sure.
Yeah, I mean, for everybody who thinks a Doomerose boa is badass, this is like, it's like somebody took a Doomerose boa, plugged it in, and turned it up to 11.
Yeah. Yep. Woo! 100%.
Did into a line 6 spider, insane mode.
Spinal right. Tap comes out of nowhere.
All the guitar players in the chat.
That's right.
Yeah. Nice.
I remember when Line 6 first came out. That was like the new technology, and today it's like, you know, now it's like bullshit technology. And, you know, it's
right.
It's like I'm playing a Line 6. Oh, dude, I thought that was like the. I'm like, I have every amp imaginable in this box.
You have a stack.
Mega stack in this box this big.
There was audition week for the like jazz funk thing I did in college, and this kid came in with his Line 6 spider, and he's like using one foot, jumping up and down to try and like change the settings with his foot while playing on the amp. Dude fell over. It was horrible. It was the poor guy. Yeah.
Whoopsies.
I'll share a story. It was like I was trying out for this cover band, and you had to go to this college. So I go to this college, and they have this. It's like in a classroom, and there's probably like there must have been 50 guitar players there, and I was like, "There's no way I'm getting this gig, just no way." So I get up. The guy, you know, he's like, "What do you want to do?" He's like, "Do you know Jimi Hendrix?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Do you know Fire?" I was like, "Sure." And we start playing it. I'm thinking there as I'm playing it, right? And I'm like, how can I stand out from the rest of these people? I'm gonna play it with my teeth. So I start playing the lead part with my teeth, and they're like, "What the hell? You over? He's in." I was like, "Yes, yes." I was channeling my inner Jimi Hendrix, and
incredible.
And then he lit the guitar on fire in the middle of the floor, and Jimmy's soul came out.
There you go.
Knighted him.
Very cool.
Sir Eric of Pennsylvania.
Yes.
Master Shredder.
Teeth player.
Bring the fire.
How
did you practice that? Just digging in with your teeth. Like, was that something?
Dude, that you'd actually hurts. Yeah, I would do it from time to time. Just as sort of a thing, you know, I would do like the behind the head and behind the back and all that kind of stuff. And oh man, it hurts your head. Like when you're kicking your teeth, it I don't know, gives you like a headache or something, but it got me the gig. So
yeah.
Screw it.
Amazing.
You ever see the guys like try and go around the world and fuck it up mid-show?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I watched an old clip of Alexi from Children of Bodom do that and completely trash his amp mid-show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great when it gets some really good air. Just the strap breaks at the right moment for it to fly.
or the bassist tries to do it at a house party and like puts it into the ceiling or something of like some dude's mom's house or something. Good times.
All the musicians are like, yes, yes. All the non-musicians are like, what the hell are these guys talking about?
Yeah.
Is this guitars and coffee or carpets and coffee?
I think
kind of both.
Snake people kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just look at Psychotic Exotics.
That's right.
Perfect.
There you go.
There's the blend right there. That's the link.
At some point, we have to have a carpet fest. It's just like a big jam festival, you know, like all these different musicians and stuff, and everybody just total jam fest.
I'm in. Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. That would be very, very cool.
And you can't get mites from that. That's a safe activity.
Yes, so true. So true. I guess I will announce here that we have a new podcast that's joining the NPR network, the Australian Herpetoculture podcast. Luke and Jason, and Jason runs this. I went down this rabbit hole. I was talking to Owen about this last night. He runs a page. His page is called the Gecko Effect.
Okay.
And he has a lot of like Australian leaf tails and Strophuris and stuff. Oh my God.
The Gecko Effect, you said.
Yes. That's his page.
Look him up.
Yeah, man. Some incredible.
Find. Oh, wow.
So the fact that we have a legit Australian podcast. Drummers, a lot of love for drummers too. Did you see it? You find it?
Yeah. Wow. Aussie leaftails are completely different from the Europlatus you see from Madagascar. It just trips me out how there's such similar species that evolved completely, complete divergent evolution, but end up in the same result. Just blows my mind. I don't know, but it seems like a lot of times, like the geckos that sort of get the public eye when it comes to Australian stuff, at least in my viewpoint, is it's like the knobtails, I guess, because they're kind of so different. But like you start looking at all the variety of species, it's like, holy shit, there's a lot going on here. Yeah. They have a lot of really cool ground dwelling micro and like velvet geckos and things like that. Every time I was listening to the podcast, the THP episode you and Billy were on, you guys were talking about some of the like the little when Boiga irregularis hatch and like when little pygmies hatch and what do they eat? It's like, dude, there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tiny little gecko species out there that run around at night in the trees, on the ground, in the bushes. Like all these little snakes thrive out there because there's little prey out there.
Yeah.
And that's how I had success with some really stubborn Antaresia was geckos. So
is it?
Yeah. I had several babies that were really, really finicky, and at like 8 months old, not having fed anything on their own, gecko shed around a pinky dipped in hot water so it rinses off the rodent scent and adheres the gecko shed. You hold them like they're hanging in a cliff and you tease them from underneath, and whoop, 3 of them in the same day. I'd never tried it before. Wow. Yeah. So I think there's something to be said. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Like we try and put the square block in the circle hole, trying to force all these animals to feed on our frozen rodents, lab grown, commercial available rodents. But
that is beautiful.
These things eat geckos. Yeah, and look at that thing.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Look at the yellow in there. It's like a mangrove monitor, but a gecko.
Yeah, man. I guess that's like the leopard gecko of Australia, or like
I
don't know.
They have a lot of velvet geckos there, so that looks like an Odura, fringe-toed velvet gecko. Yeah, Odura felicipoda.
Very cool.
Odura.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think
you guys hear that bang a little bit ago?
You got some combat going on back there?
No, my blackhead, I think, just tried to bite the back of my head, and now he's got a mouthful of wood chips. Got to deal with that after this.
Oh, that's a learning experience for him.
Yeah, he made us stupid.
Well, you don't learn.
That was interesting.
I thought they were the smart ones. I thought
I thought so too.
Yeah.
He got a big quail last night, so he's probably in food mode. Anyway.
Yeah.
Speaking of geckos.
Yeah. There you go.
Species that don't want to eat rats.
Diamond pythons, they're doing good. I think they are locked up as we speak over there.
They're doing that hot, huh?
That's exciting, man.
Yeah. It'll be cool to produce them for sure. I'm hoping I have
now
success.
One's a reduced pattern, right? And what's the other?
San Diego Zoo.
Okay. Sweet.
Bloodline. Yeah.
So is it for sure that the RPD stuff is recessive?
Well, it depends on who you talk to. I think so. And I also think that, like, I will get a lot of flack for what I'm about to say, but I think that a lot of the bloodlines of diamond pythons are all the same.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that they kind of went to different zoos and somehow we made them different line. You know what I mean? Different bloodlines. So I'm sure there are some that are, more legit than others, because I know there are some out there that are harder to find and I guess are more. But the fact that you can get reduced pattern in the Riverbank Zoo line and the San Diego Zoo line, I don't know.
What's that tell you?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just, what are the I mean, it is possible, but what are the chances of two different bloodlines of reduced diamond pythons popping out, not only not in Australia, but in the US?
Right.
I mean,
I don't think
It
that's
seems
really
unlikely.
possible.
yeah, I mean,
I mean, yeah, that it's also seemed very unlikely, right? That a stonewashed would pop out in Lazic stock and then also in the completely unrelated hypo stock, which it did. And that's
Right.
weird as hell. So I don't know, but I think
well,
you're probably
wasn't that
onto
though
something.
that he bred that to, like, if you look, so I was under the understanding that Nick, like my hypo that I bought from Nick as the first hypos that were like available, the breeding that he did, he bred it to, so it would have basically made Pos Het stonewashed.
So
And turns out that some of them are, right? No?
When I've talked to Nick, you know how in order to get the genetic stripe, which popped out in Lazic stock, into a hypo, you can only get 50% hypos. Well, unless some crazy genetic stuff happens that Dr. Wyman called me about. But for layman term, like you would expect that, right? So what Nick told me is that he thought that he would only be able to have stonewashed with 50% hypo, because the hypo as an unrelated line to be pure, to get stonewash into it, you'd have to mix, right? But then I think my interpretation is what he told me is stonewash popped up in the full blood hypo stuff independently of the stonewash that popped up in the Lazic stuff, just
Really?
out of random crazy chance, which you wouldn't think would happen, which means that those two lines might have some common ancestry dating back to
founding
stock a long time ago. But yeah, and that's why now he's able to make full blood hypos that are also stonewashed.
Okay.
I think
I was wondering how I saw that, and the kind of I guess I'm gonna have to call Nick and have a talk with him, have a chat with him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let me know if I'm wrong on that. I think that's what he told me.
No, you might be right.
But yeah, I mean, what a shock, to see that stonewash pop up in both of those that are thought to be unrelated lineages, as well as the stuff in Australia. I think they call it freckled or something like that. It just seems to be one that is present in that gene pool, regardless of where it came from.
Well, then I guess take what I say and throw it out the window, because
I don't mean that. I don't mean that.
I mean, no, I'm fine with it. I'm not. It just seems odd to me that that kind of thing would happen. But Dario's saying that based on diamond python breeders, they seem to think that it isn't heritable via Mendelian inheritance.
So it acts somewhat differently, similar to how Borneos do their own thing, but maybe like not in that extreme of an example.
I don't know if I don't think that there's been reduced pattern and a reduced pattern, which would sort of like put this all to rest, right? I mean, if you have reduced pattern and you produce all reduced pattern, it would kind of tell you what's going on, right?
Right.
So eventually I'm going to do that. I have a female and a male. So, I don't know.
We'll see what pops out.
Yeah. So, Again, this is
Uncharted
just my
territory.
opinion. I think sometimes, like when you're, I don't know about it's weird how the diamond python part of the hobby of carpet pythons sort of like are on their own little part of the hobby. It doesn't, like, if you're into diamonds, typically that's what you're into, and you don't really cross over too much, It seems that way, at least to me. I don't know.
Seems like they're kind of like the high end classy carpets. Like we're the guys drinking 40s in the alley after dark. They're the ones at the gentleman's club with the sport coats and loafers on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, me and Owen were talking about this last night, and we're saying about how if I were to get back into, like, diamond python is really like a really solid choice for a pet, in as far as if you get one that's going, I mean, they can be tricky to get going as babies. But there's because they eat skinks, right? Skinks and geckos. It's sort of like what we were talking about a couple minutes ago. But I don't know, man. They can withstand really cold temperatures. They're very much like a colubrid. But were they all? That's a good question.
What's that?
Wait a minute. Greg is saying, he said that Greg did reduce pattern to reduce pattern, but I don't know if that, I mean, it made crazy high reduced patterns, but were they all reduced patterns?
Right. That's the question. Yeah. Carpet guys, object guys, diamond guys. Where's Carpondro people in that equation, Justin?
Oh, damn you to hell.
Anyway, but what I was saying about the Brettle stuff, I didn't at all mean that as in opposition to what you're saying. I think you're probably spot on with the diamond thing. Yeah. Just kind of a side note. Genetics are weird. And
yeah, I know. Sometimes when we talk about this stuff, I say this all the time. It's like we talk about it, and it's sort of like people will take our word as gospel, and like, especially in this format that we're doing right now, we're just shooting the shit. You know what I mean? And like below the ouch, we're just kind of like throwing ideas out into the ether and see what happens.
For sure. Yeah.
So, ouch. Justin went there. Wow. Okay.
It's my favorite thing about the Gary Scavino videos on YouTube,
where
he finds the opportunities to jab Carpondro people. It's always hilarious. Knocks me out every time.
That's funny. That's funny when he does that. I love that.
Well, there you go. Andy Middleton. He's basically saying Greg did a reduced pattern in 2018. He has a female. They're pretty sure they were all reduced pattern. So,
yeah, I had heard that.
Doesn't seem like magic to me, but who am I?
So I had always come up under the impression that it was recessive, and that some people claimed they could see markers for RPD hets, but I never saw or heard anything that confirmed that. It was just all hearsay. So I've always been under the impression it was a recessive thing.
Me too. Yeah. But if you look back, everybody thought the tiger gene was co-dominant,
Sure.
And it turns out that word is just
right.
is just word. Total bullshit to begin with. How dare you say the C word?
It's an awful C word. It's one of the worst C words ever.
I gotta re-listen to the NPR genetics roundtable. That one's so good, but I think I need 4 more times to internalize what everybody's talking about.
Yeah. Trust me, man. That talk was way above my pay grade as well. I'm just like, oh, okay. Hopefully I can keep this boat going straight. I don't know if I can, but
yeah.
Oh man.
That's the beauty of podcast. You just drill it in until it makes sense.
Yeah. Exactly. And another good note, probably later today, the Field Herping podcast will be up.
Sick.
So that's cool.
Nice.
I had to re-record another part with Phil last night, and it should be good to go. That should be pretty easy to plug it and play it. So
the previews have been fantastic, so I can't wait to hear the full thing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I think it's going to be something pretty cool. So yeah,
excellent.
We'll see. Here's a question from Johnny. Recently switched all my carpets over to Quail and Chicken. However, after talking to David Hastings, I'm second guessing that choice. He recommended not because of avian virus are closer to reptiles.
Avian virus comes in waves of high concern and low concern, and I don't know. It is a concern, but it's like there's times when it's like really prevalent, and you'll see it in the flyaways, and then you'll see a lot of the agricultural chicken farms and people shut down their production and things like that. And over the years, I've worked in zoos where we've like stopped taking, eggs or bird prey for 3-4 months until the all clear is given, sort of thing. But like, I still feed quail and chicks all the time at work and here. And
I'm not sure that's something I would worry about personally. I haven't researched the occurrence of viruses in birds hopping over to snakes, but I've never heard of it in captivity, which makes me think it's probably not that common.
Right.
So, yeah, I think you should be good to go.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the key, I think the way I'm going to start to approach my carpet pythons and their diet is just variety. Just a variety of prey items, rodents, rabbits, quail, chickens, rats, mice, just a nice mix of different.
Lately,
stuff.
we've been able to get tons of quail and chicks at the shop, but like we're getting like the little guys and the week olds. I want to get some of the bigger quail, like the adult button quail, because like you can feed those off to adults, no problem. That's a sizable meal.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Also, to address wouldn't being frozen cut the risk, I know from being a fishmonger that it takes very low negative sub temperatures to actually kill a lot of these things.
Like negative 70 degrees.
So the answer is
centigrade.
usually no. For like the freezer that you have in your house doesn't get that cold. So I wouldn't rely on that.
Yeah, they use deep freezers that get like negative 72°C.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's got to be really low to kill a lot of those nasties. They're pretty good at persevering.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how we would always dispose of soil, molts, deceased individuals from invasive invertebrates. So like as part of our APHIS permit in the zoos, if you have any sort of potentially harmful detrimental species, you have to dispose of them a certain way. You have to freeze them in a deep freeze for a minimum of 72 hours. And then you have to send off all the contents to be incinerated at a facility. So like giant African millipedes, all these roach species, like all these things that were, managed in the APHIS permit. That was how we had to dispose of that. It was crazy.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
There's a reason that viruses and protozoa and all these little nasties have evolved successfully alongside us for longer than mammals have been around. They're pretty good at living.
Yeah. They're designed to stay alive.
Yeah, that's why talk about pandemics. I'm scared about the permafrost melting. Gonna like thaw out some ancient caveman disease or some shit. Knock on wood.
Oh, good
way to go, Lucas.
Yeah, we'll be shut
the
down
headlines next week.
Like
Lucas
started a second pandemic.
Right.
No, you're not allowed to blame me for that.
New pandemic starts mid-second one as a result of reptile discussion show.
Here's his address. Go get him.
It's always the reptile people. God damn
it.
US Art can't help us now. But anyway,
Lucas gets a Mike Tyson face tattoo to change his look. Not Lucas. It's not me.
My name's what did you say earlier? Joe Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's a question. Well, let's do this first. Let's talk about the locality carpet that we're going to talk about this week.
Ooh, goody.
Yeah.
Locality?
This is an inland carpet from Windora, Queensland. Okay. Let's see. Let's get this shared up here. And application window. Here we go. Look at that beauty.
Oh, good Lord.
Jeez.
Yeah, man. Like, look at the red on that animal.
That is stunning.
There's no black pigment from the midline or below. It's all like on the tail and dorsally, and
Yeah.
everything like fades down like you see in some coastals.
If that popped out
Yeah.
in captive stock, people would probably call it hypo or something.
Yeah. Well, it does have somewhat of the orange and light cream that some of the hypos do.
So what's interesting about Dora and where it's located is it's sort of by like coastal carpet python area. It's on the other side of the Black Mountain corridor. Yeah. So
Interesting.
it's
Interesting.
this is why they say, I guess the farther north you go with McAfee, or should it be McAfee? Should it be E? I don't know. I'm so
I
confused
don't know how that
anymore.
works after an E though.
Or is it
Yeah.
Fey?
It's when the I stands alone, I
Fey.
know it's E, but I don't know how
E.
it goes after an EI.
Fei.
God damn Latin.
Metcalfei.
Why couldn't they pick Spanish or something? You know?
One of those Metcalfei carpet pythons.
Yes.
Oh my god.
But man,
Nipper,
that
don't hurt
thing
me.
yeah, that thing is beautiful, man.
That's
Like,
a gorgeous animal.
Yeah, that is beautiful, man.
So
I
what
love
you're
that,
thinking 5 years before those we start seeing a clutch or two of those dropping?
Yeah, I don't even know if they're in Australia, you know. Like
Right.
I don't know. You don't see too many I'm sure there's people there that are breeding, we just don't know about them, but
Locality
you know,
guys, huh?
you don't see too many I think Australia used to be full of just guys that did locality stuff, you know.
They're probably just burnt out on it or way ahead of the curve now. They've like been there, done that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think probably the morph thing kind of took over, and
Still
you
pretty
know,
big there.
yeah.
I see a lot of
I
people
think more
gunning for all sorts of crazy mixes.
Yeah,
of
yeah.
all sorts of wild
Yeah, because
shit.
they have such variety, man. You know, just even their exanic stuff of coastal carpets is just like freaking crazy, you know. But
You know what? I'm surprised I haven't seen anything recently about over there. It's the albino coastal stuff. Haven't heard any updates.
yeah, that kind of it's probably because you just growing that stuff up, you know. You know, the other one is the melanistic Darwin. That seemed to just like under the radar. Yeah, lots of what about that crazy melanistic Woma python that hatched out here in the States?
Yeah, it's funny because that picture of that older one was just circulating through all the chats, and then pop, there's one in the US. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
I wonder what's going on there.
I don't know. Maybe, you know what? I always wonder, like, if you breed the same animal multiple times over, like, do you get the same result each time, or is it like the odds increase of some phenotypic flukes and varieties changing? Like,
it would be a random recombination every time.
Because like, if you breed a seemingly normal pair, and on the third or fourth time they produce the litter or clutch or whatever, all of a sudden you get some freak of nature. Is it a one-time fluke, or was that always there? Just you never hit the odds.
It probably depends on the mode of inheritance that led to that phenotype, right? How likely it is that the random recombination hit in just that way.
I don't know. I always think about that. Like, if somebody, like, how these random things pop up right under our noses from like a pair that's bred plenty of times, but all of a sudden this thing comes out, and
it just
years later it's still a thing.
Right.
Somehow hit the right sequence.
Well, reportedly, the Jag just popped out of a clutch of Brisbane coastals. So
right.
The zebra just popped out of a clutch in, Paul Harris's jungle parent. I think that was from Palmerston, if I'm not mistaken. But,
yeah.
Well, it will be interesting, depending on what that individual does with that Woma, to see if it ends up being heritable, because that other one, it sounds like most folks were saying they tried and weren't able to reproduce that look. So
What about the one in Australia that was sitting on the clutch of eggs?
I think that project didn't produce anything.
Oh, gotcha.
At least that's what was said in the chat, but you know, that's all he said, she said. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Sounds like every chondro. Yeah, chondro.
Magic
genetics.
Green sticks on the snake. Or wait.
I know my opinion of the magic green sticks on a snakes on a stick is.
I did that too. You did it too.
Yeah, I know. Is that that's just hybridization? But
yes,
you know,
exactly.
I will be chastised and taken out back, and my Morelia card will be taken away from me for a comment so hideous. How dare you?
I think that's been accepted that there's been a lot of hybridization in chondros, especially now that we have begun to accurately look at them and split them. And now we have subspecies, and it's been suggested that there are probably even more. So
yeah, for sure.
I don't know about you guys, but I think the highlight of my day is when Daniel Nattoche posts up his pictures from his various trips of Papua New Guinea and you know, like the Cape York and all, and like he had like that picture of like it was like a bucket of white-lipped pythons and like just crazy.
Yeah, his
stuff,
Instagram is so good. Definitely worth a follow. Amazing
100%.
stuff.
What a cool guy too. He's a cool guy.
White-lipped pythons, huh?
White lips.
Yeah.
I don't know about those.
White-lipped pythons.
Yeah, who keeps
They weren't
those?
for me. They weren't for me.
I don't know.
They're,
I think I'll leave, even if I like the way they look. I think that's a species that like I know I'm not truly, you know, in love with. So I never want to dive into it. But I love seeing the people that are infatuated with it going after it hard.
Yeah.
So
I'll leave those for the squirrel people.
Yeah, exactly. For our squirrel loving friends, I'll just let y'all have those.
Yeah, it's you know, I when we were talking about this, I was talking to Owen about it, and I was like, you need a big group, man. You need a group of a lot of animals if you want to do that. You know, you can't just have like a pair. You have to do more.
Several pairs
for sure.
Yeah, you know,
you need at least 2.4.
But look at them, man. They shot up like crazy price. You know, what was Owen saying? It was like
3,700 for a pair.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And those are probably adults, which honestly is probably cheap.
Yeah.
Really?
For today's standards. I know somebody who just bought one for 24.
Holy
now, wouldn't you agree though that in terms of somebody like Owen that's trying to you know, progress with that project, probably not even really the best thing to pick up adults, right? Wouldn't you want to kind of raise up some young ones? Yeah.
There's only one reason why
the same mistake.
There's only one reason why people sell adults.
Couldn't breed them.
Yeah.
Because they're
And then you move them, you reset their clock, and then somebody else will get frustrated with them before the 4 to 6 years or whatever they need to settle in, you know, and then it's just around and round and round until they die without reproducing.
It's funny how you see all these scrub clutches just popping up, right? Like people are having like really, it's starting to be pretty consistent, right? And when you go back to the MP days, you know, like if you got a clutch of Southerns, you were like, you know, like how did you do that? You know, let alone Northerns or anything like that, Tannenbar, anything like that, you know. I think it's just that. It's just that settling that snake in, getting them comfortable, because now you have more keepers that maybe NPR influenced that or not, but like, you know, the whole like you would see like, you know, it kind of like went through the circle of people, right? You'd see this scrub python pop up, and like I think of the Kofi owl that Chris had, and you know, Chris and Owen had it, then I had it, then Chris had it back again, and Owen had it. Then he sold it to somebody else, and it's like it never like a beautiful snake, but it just never settled in. And you know,
I mean, Brandon Wheeler is a great example. He got some Southerns years ago, and you know, he was doing other things with his carpets and stuff, but he's like, I'm gonna give it a whirl, and he just let him get settled, and he didn't really listen to any of the other nonsense about them. They happen to be big and this and that, and his little female had a great clutch her first go around, and he's sitting on babies that are, going on 3 years old from that, and he's looking at another clutch potentially. He's got animals breeding, and Stephen Kush is another example. He's got a bunch of scrubs. I was talking to him the other day. He's got animals with follicles because they've got an ultrasound. So like, he's looking like he's going to have a couple potential clutches there. I mean, yeah, I think it all comes down to these animals ending up with the right people who will allow them to settle in and get into their rhythm.
Yep.
To my point when we started, you know what I mean? Like it got into the right hands, and the people that are passionate about it, like, miraculously, they all of a sudden started producing them. How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
That's why I think like everybody should be unashamed about whatever species you love, no matter how obscure or unique, because you're going to be that person for it, Yeah. And I think ethically we should, if a species exists in the hobby, we should do our part to keep it around at the very least. And so it only seems to make sense to have, a core group of people always working on it. So
100%.
You mean I can't just go to a shop and spend $5,000 on a pair of rare snakes and become a millionaire in a couple months?
I'm going to tell you if you're spending that $5,000 with me.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but I think every species needs a champion, you know what I mean? So that's how you keep things well rounded. That's how you keep stuff around. That's how you don't lose things. We're in a very interesting point where we're trying to keep things from getting lost, certain species, and so
absolutely. I want to, well, you guys already know what I want to do. I want to get all the Asphodeites. But with that being said, one of the things that I want to do is I don't want to just make a bunch of random, like it's a blackhead, like I would love to have like some of the Swiss line stuff, some of the Western stuff, some of the Easterns, and just like be able to, keep those going, because a lot of it's hard to track down. Obviously Jason's got the Swiss line stuff on lock, and there's a few other folks producing some amazing animals with that. But if you want to find a Western, it's not easy right now. There's just not that many people popping them out. So talk about preserving lines, that's one that needs a little attention, in my opinion.
So how legit is that? Is that the only line of Western blackheads of it, like in the States?
There's definitely people that would be able to answer that better than I can. I don't want to pretend to know. I know that there are some that people I trust consider legitimate. But I think there's also probably a lot of instances of people hatching out blackheads that looked a little bit more black and white and probably just said, it's a Western, So it's hard to know. I feel confident that the one that I picked up came from some pretty well documented lineages that, folks like Nick would say are probably,
are legit.
True. Yeah. But I don't want to pretend to know.
Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think some snake is trying to eat Riley or something. I don't know.
What's going on?
I have the most annoying goddamn thermostat behind me that's just clicking. It's like 88, 89, 88, 89. I'm like, I don't care. Pick one. Shut up.
Yeah. Stay in your lane.
You'll be fine.
Dude, for every thermostat maker, I swear to God, I appreciate you guys putting alarms and all this shit in there. They're so annoying. They're so goddamn annoying. I don't care if it's hovering on 88 and 89. It doesn't need to make a noise to let me know that it can't figure its shit out. That is not a feature I care about. I'm trying to record a show here, and this thing's like, click, 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 click. I'm like, I'm going to smash you.
Yeah, it's so funny. Richard Ross was saying in the show.
That was hilarious.
Did he actually send his to Owen? Work? Did he give it to Owen? I'll take it.
Apparently he did.
That's
Owen's like, make sure he signs it,
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
Oh my God. Are you done
Put one
now?
of the books in with that thermostat when you send it over, please.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man. Books. Those are just as expensive as thermostats nowadays.
Oh, if not more. Jesus.
Yeah, some of them. And they're worth every penny too, because like it's a tool you can always go back and rely on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how many times a year I go back to the complete carpet python. I'm just like, wait, I gotta go.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like, all right, okay.
100%. And there's some books that I just will not be able to get my hands on, you know. So they're just either buy a used copy for like $800 or try to find somebody that's willing to scan something for you.
Yeah.
I'm sure I have it back there somewhere.
Yep. I'm looking at you, Eric.
Yeah. Whatever you need.
You're the best.
One day I'll put in effort and money into actually getting one of those Pythons of the World Volume 1 with the jungle carpet right on it.
Oh, that's like one of the greatest books in herpetoculture for me.
It's like $500 to $800 on freaking eBay right now.
Is it?
It's absurd.
Holy
yeah.
shit. Wow.
Yeah, it's absurd how expensive that is right now.
Again, I've seen people trying to get $400, $500, $600 for a complete carpet python. You know,
Yep.
as soon as they sell out, it's
supply
the most
demand.
underrated table in a reptile show is the book table.
Yeah,
agreed.
Most underrated table.
Yeah,
you know?
I tried looking for a book table at the show yesterday. They didn't even have that. I was like,
They didn't have it. Yeah.
Nah.
There was I want to say that Owen, was it Owen? Maybe it was Chris Salemi. I'm not sure. One of those guys was at White Plains, and they found a copy of that Australian Pythons of the World Volume 1, and I think it was like $50.
Oh, let me get
You know what I mean?
that.
Christ.
Yeah, just like $50. You know, I mean, but what a book, man! Holy shit.
Johnny says complete carpet pythons 800 right now for used.
Woo.
Wow,
Good
I got
God.
2 of them. I could sell one.
Oh,
I got one that's
yeah.
autographed, and I got one that's not. So
It's all just supply and
If I sold
demand.
mine, I'd just be calling Nick 2 to 3 times more often to ask the same questions.
yeah,
Hey,
maybe
you
that's
remember
why he
that
wrote
thing
it.
in that book?
He got tired of everybody asking him, and he's like, "I'm just gonna write this down."
Yeah.
Him and
Exactly.
Justin are just like, "Nah, this is bullshit."
Yeah.
My time is too valuable.
$250? Oh my god!
Wow.
I feel so
Holy
lucky
shit.
because I think I picked mine up in 2018, 2019, like right before it sold out. So I got it for like the normal, price.
Yeah. I paid like $55 for mine or whatever it was.
Exactly. Yeah.
I have the email when Nick and Justin were writing it, and Nick was doing the Origin of Morelia chapter, and he sent me a version of it via email, and like I printed it out, and I'm just like, oh my god, I can't believe he sent this to me. It's so cool. It's like I can't believe I'm reading it before other people. Always wanted it, but I'm waiting for it. Yeah, a couple of people I talked to are waiting for the new
That makes sense.
the new edition,
At this point, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll never be able to sell my copy. Not that I would even want to, but I've annotated the
No.
crap out of it. Like I'm
Yeah.
in there just like important.
Did you? Is that what you did?
Maybe.
You cursed it?
I unplugged it and let it know how I felt.
Okay, well, way to take charge, man. Good job.
Vivarium Electronics, that's a note for y'all. Get rid of that shitty feature on your stats, please. Thank you.
Yeah. I got a question.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as of recently, right, for a long time I was using Reptiscan, right? And I was using Reptiscan to keep track of records and all this stuff. And I find myself, as trying to save time and all this stuff, that I think I'm going back to just the old index card. I think it's the way to go, man. I don't know what. Well, obviously Riley's.
I tried to get on the boat with the scanning thing. I printed out all my QR codes. I put in all my animals, and I never used it. And I just write on my little blue tape, and I'm a happy clam.
It's more work. It's just one more thing to have to do. More work.
I
like
also write on my NPR calendar. I'll
do that. I write breeding notes on the calendar and use it for my timeline.
I've got it there that on the 15th they locked up, and on the 17th I separated them. That's all I need is calendar, a little bit
I
of blue
save
tape.
those calendars too, and then I can look back at them each year and see when animals were going.
When you take that calendar, do you put it into an Excel spreadsheet or something like that? Do you do anything like that, or you just leave it as the calendar and just call it a day?
I should do that. Have a digital backup. But I also write everything on the cards, so I'll basically write like feeding, shed, refuse foods, any ovulatory notes, egg drops, things like that, and then that way I can go back and say, okay, last season or 2 seasons ago, this animal produced in March or whatever,
Right.
And I can kind of keep that record. But yeah, I really should flesh it out further into like a digital sheet, because then I can have more itemized timelines that are easier to reference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Personally, I hate spreadsheets, but I would say that it's probably a good idea, and I should probably suck it up and get
Adding stuff into a spreadsheet once in a while is less work than like going through a feeding and like each time you have to like scan a code, type something in, or even if you do batch transactions, like you got to go through and and I'm very particular about like what my animals eat and what notes I want to know, like if it's scented with something, or if it's frozen thawed, or if I drop fed it, or if it was actually grabbed, or all these little things. And years and years ago, there used to be this software called Herper Pro that has long since lost its support and gone under. And it was more ball python oriented because it was focused on like categories with morphs and stuff. But it was nice because it had a section where I could keep track of my frozen food inventory, sheds. I could literally keep track of any piece of information that was worthwhile, from bowel movements to urinations to sheds to anything. It's genetics, it's pairings, all this stuff. And then, once that company went under and then the software crashed and I lost all my information, couldn't get it back, I was like, well, this is stupid, because this was supposed to be my digital backup, and it just took a dump on me. And at that point, I was like, I'm going back to note card and pen. And I've kind of over the years just paid attention to like all these different Reptiscan and QR reader things and all this stuff. And like every time I look into it, I'm like, that seems like more work. I don't want to do that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't even have that many animals, especially back when I tried the scan thing. I probably had like half of what I have now, because 2020 was a doozy.
Oh, dude, you know how long it would take me to input feeds for 75 animals? Like,
oh yeah, no, it's
twice as long as the feeding itself.
I completely agree. I think that at a certain level, just note card. Practical. That's just, I mean, and why? Like if you could just really quick, I don't know. Like at the vivarium, when I was doing feeds, we had a little stamp where we would just put the date, and then I'm just bam, 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 bam. That was the fastest thing ever. Just stamp on blue tape.
Yeah. I mean, and it all comes down to like what's convenient for you, your time, and the size of your collection. And it's getting to the point for me where like even just writing the word fuzzy in the date is like, I got to streamline this. I should just put the date in an F.
Yeah, exactly.
And pretty soon, who knows? Maybe I won't even keep track of that. But I do like to, that's how I determine who's getting fed, as I look at these feed cards and go, okay, you ate 2 weeks ago. You're not in shed. You've gone to the bathroom. Like, you're probably due for a feed. That's kind of how I plan my feedings around, is being able to look at the feed cards. So I don't, as much as I love the backups and the technology that makes life easier, sometimes it is overcomplicating, and I don't know, old school sometimes just doesn't need to be reinvented.
I think that it's good to take data, and it's good to keep track of that stuff. But I think that you should have a reason of why you're doing it, not just doing it because you think you have to do it.
Like one thing that I don't take note on, and it sounds like a lot of people do, but I just never really saw the point in it, is sheds. Like I don't really note when things shed. Do you guys think that that's ignorant? Should I be doing that?
I keep track of sheds simply because, especially for my adults, because usually it kind of tells me going into breeding season. I don't know. I just always sort of look for that, because I tracked it. I don't know, but
yeah, to me, the only benefit I see out of knowing when shedding occurs is so I'm not overfeeding, or I get a gauge that they're eating appropriately, or yeah, like Eric said, for adults, you know, kind of being able to eyeball where they're at in their cycle.
Sure.
But I used to, dude, when I first started, man, I was still in the zoo world, and I was all gung-ho about like being as diligent as possible. Dude, like every month everything gets weighed. I was keeping track of like it peed, it pooed, it shed, it's in shed, like it's opaque, it's, you know, I was documenting all this stuff, and I was like,
Right.
I don't care when it went to the bathroom last. I don't care that it's in shed right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is it gonna eat? No, then none of that's relevant. And it all comes down to like, what's the benefit for you in keeping your animal? Like knowing when they're shedding and feeding is good, so you can look back and kind of have an idea of what baseline normal is. But outside of that, it's just to see when things go out of whack. Otherwise, like, you could make so much more work for yourself by trying to be over diligent.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Agreed. And I totally see the value in tracking a shed for girls, right? In terms of cycling and maybe, you know, a post-ov, a pre-lay shed, you know, that's different. But I guess I mean just kind of the day-to-day non-breeding related sheds. I never really saw the point.
Yeah.
I'll show you a little bit of herp history.
Ooh.
I sense manila envelopes and dust. Pulls it out of an old wooden chest.
This belongs in a museum.
Clunk.
So when I bought, yeah, right. So for everybody that's into GQ M Pen IJs, right?
Me.
Okay.
Riley.
Whoa.
Well, that's cool.
So
what am I looking at?
Old school handwritten record books.
So I don't know if you guys can see. That's from Luke Snell. And like, this is the notes that he took. Picture. I mean, this is like old school, but these are like journals of those animals and, you know, how they came up. So this one is Dora, who is still alive and still going strong. But she is like she was an M Pen, that beautiful snake, by the way. But like, just all the notes from when she was born and when Luke got her to when she sold her to me, of just like, so each snake he had one of these, and this is
wild.
That's crazy.
The GQ Mersol. But yeah, just like here's a picture of when he hatched out.
Wow.
Look at that snake when he hatched out.
Oh, I love the cherry red babies.
What a cool thing.
Man.
I can't wait for that, man. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
I'm a week away or more from that first clutch hatching.
So
Wow.
one of the benefits of having a smaller collection is you can do things like this. But like, I mean, like he would track the head stamp, you know. So
I have the worst, like most disgusting sketch trying to make the head stamp on my two hypos because I'm cohabbing them, and I was like, oh god, what if I forget which one's which? So I tried to draw their different head stamps. It looks like a 3-year-old did it, but it does the job.
Nice.
I'm so bad at drawing.
You could always just take a photo and
That makes
print it out and put it
sense.
in a folder. That's
Look
what we
at
do with
you.
frogs. That's what we do with frogs. Like to do their annual exams, all the frogs have different pattern markings. That's how we tell them apart. So I
That is
go to
so
a
much
photo,
smarter.
pull the frog out, and look at the photo, and be like, okay, that's number 6.
I think
Good
Ralph
idea.
Davis used to do that with ball pythons, right? He used to take their feed card and he would flip over the feed card and he would draw the pattern like around the neck from like the head to the neck. And he would draw the pattern on there, and that's how he sort of like would keep track of
Interesting.
But yeah, man, I thought this was cool. So when I bought the adults from him, and that was my first carpet python breeding for me personally, my first maternal incubation, and yeah,
That's badass.
That's the
man.
history of that line right there. Is right in these books.
So those
Very
two
cool.
form the GQ M Pen stuff.
Yeah. So anybody that has GQ M Pen, they came from these two snakes.
Wow.
So,
Pardon my ignorance, but what does the GQ stand for?
so GQ is a line from Gary Quirk, and they go back to wild caught stuff. But Anthony Caponetto had bought these. Let's see. Let me see. Hold on. I'll show you the potency of GQ, if you will.
Awesome.
But it's a very what would be the word? Recognizable IJ, I guess. Let's see. So this is pretty cool because it has GQ. Here we go. Let's see. So this is the founder, female. Share screen. Okay. Application window. There you go.
Ooh,
That's the female.
colorful.
Yeah, they were pretty nice. Oh, that's another close up. Let's see. So that's the wild caught mother. That's too small. There you go. Let's see how it has that
Wow.
orange.
Yeah.
So that line is kind of known for that.
That's
Let's see.
beautiful.
Yeah, close up.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Yeah, sort of that black with the orange, and yeah, it just has this specific, look to it. But
For sure. Yeah, I see. That is very cool.
yeah,
Lucas, you don't have any of those.
I don't have any of those.
you will soon enough.
Oh.
You. So
Sorry.
yeah. So speaking of IJs and lines and things, and I'm sure we've talked about it plenty of times. And recently, I think it was talked about like, what the smart play is when, working a line and ensuring its survival and what you keep. But, how many holdbacks does one keep if you're starting with, just one pair and your plans are long term? Like, you can't assume that you keep a pair that they're both going to survive or produce, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's different steps to keep that line going. So how does one, like, if somebody were to ask you, how do I get started on making my own line? What would be the advice you would give to somebody as far as, like, what do they go buy? How many? How diverse? What do they start with?
So you're saying if you're like trying to breed a specific species?
Say somebody wants to start their own line of whatever species it's out there. What do you think a responsible breeder with success on their target, needs to do in order to make sure? Because, like, you got to think several generations ahead.
Yeah.
You got to think of founding stock.
Well, I think first you have to actually definitely have a goal in mind, right, to justify a line. For example, Nick saying, I'm going to make black and white jungle carpets from black and yellow jungle carpets. Like, that's a goal. It turned out to be attainable after like 9 generations or something. I feel like you'd probably have to start with at least 2.2, right? And then maybe burk your clutches a bit.
Yeah. So, like, if you have one clutch where the parents both have this look and you want to accentuate it, you get your first round of offspring. You keep everything, or you keep most or the best, and how many do you keep? And then at what point do you stop? At what point do you need to add, some diversity in there to keep it healthy? And what would be the advice you would give to somebody whose goal is to try and make a specific look?
specific look as opposed to breeding a specific species. So Rob and I were talking about this the other day, right? My weekly chat with Rob, and we were talking about, I think I kind of raised this question on NPR to Owen, and he kind of like answered me, but not really answered me. But if you look in the Python, the Blue Bible, right? I think it says in there that you really should have about 60 adults to have a breeding project, right? So 60 adults,
Damn.
and that's a low number to sort of establish a genetically diverse gene pool of a specific group. So, and to sort of go into like, and again, like, you know, I was sort of trying to say this about the whole, like, I know I used, well, maybe I still do, get labeled like a morph guy and all this stuff, right? But if you would look at my collection, I think my collection is 75% non-morph stuff because of the amount of IJ, you know, different bloodlines, wild caught, captive hatched, farm raised, you know, all these different things, where I would say probably have close to 50 IJs, right? And to be able to do what I want to do with IJs and establish and be able to outcross and you know, specific looks and all this stuff, I think you need a big group like that, you know. But that's why I think like it's like when you're doing a project and you so I think this question came up for me with Owen is like when he's doing hold everything and hide in a cave for a few years. That's right, Tony. I was talking to him about rough scales, and I was sort of saying, like, if you're in a project, like how many rough scales is enough, or white lips, or Timor pythons, or stuff like that. I think that 1.1 or 2.2, I think you're cutting yourself short. You know?
Yeah, it's not enough. I think you only allow yourself to go so far with that.
I think we also have to consider the definition of a project, right? Like, I think the goal of the quote project also impacts, you know, the answer to the question, right? If we're talking about it being sustainable, that's when you have to start worrying about your genetic diversity.
Yeah,
but if your project,
I'm thinking like long term, more than one set of results, like being able to do it for
that
years.
gets really tricky,
right?
I mean, even just in grad school right now, a lot of the papers are looking at the sustainability of AZA, you know, and for most of the species, no, they're not on track to reach their 100-year genetic diversity goal. So how are we, as people that keep snakes that we are cut off from their, you know, wild populations, no new stock, how are we going to be sustainable? The answer is probably that we can't be for more than a certain amount of time.
Right.
But does that mean that we shouldn't try to extend our window as much as we can? You know,
sure.
It's like,
sure. That's why we need Australia to open up and be smart. It's all good.
Right.
We'll get there. We're saying it. We just got to say it enough times.
But yeah, I mean, that's where it gets tricky. Right. And genetic diversity inherently curtails some projects, right? You know, if you're trying to keep Brisbane coastals, then you are inherently not striving for genetic diversity anymore.
Right.
At least from my knowledge set of what that word means.
Without injecting new animals from Brisbane, eventually you will come to that dilemma.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there's things we can do, but eventually, in my view, based on my understanding of inbreeding depression in reptiles specifically, there's still a point, you know, there's still a wall that that's coming. It's it's not the same as in other taxa and other species. It's not the same as mammals, but it still exists for sure.
So the nice thing is it's different with localities versus a look. If you're doing a specific locality or something that is very finite, you run into a, you know, eventually you're not sustainable or you have to outcross and then you're not pure. If you're just going for a look, then you can inject new blood here and there as long as it fits in your parameters, and that's how you can keep like a certain line going.
100%. Different kinds of projects. Yeah.
So I think, you know, probably an example of what you're talking about, Riley, is probably more along the lines of like Matt Minatola's Ocelot stuff, or his marble, his extreme marbles, if you will.
Right.
Like those two things come to mind. And he has all the breedings that he has done, and I remember talking to him, a couple seasons, and he's sort of now at the point where he's going to start to like outcross it a bit and see give it that
take it to the next level.
But I mean, I think that project really started with just a couple of animals, and
then he's held everything back for a while to figure it out, and done some more breedings and got some more results and done some more breedings and let a few things go as he's come to understand it. And he's handled it and all the time without the structure of normal Mendelian genetics, because Borneo's threw that out the window.
Yeah.
So that makes it harder.
At least for me, my understanding of a bloodline as opposed to a line, like if you're talking a bloodline, right, that to me, that can be traced back to wild animals, right?
Sure.
So you have,
the
GQ bloodline can be traced back to wild animals. Now, take that example, right? So you have GQ to GQ, you produce these amazing animals, and this animal right here, right? If you look at the thing, it was, where is it? It was GQ to a wild caught. So it was the first generation where the first time that he outbred the GQ stuff to a wild caught animal. And like a lot of people have that picture of that wild caught female that's real dark, that's sort of like wrapped up. If you're in the IJs, you've seen this picture.
Yeah.
He outcrossed it. He outcrossed it like a couple generations in, basically. Is that still considered GQ? I mean, we kind of still called it GQ. I don't know. I guess it wouldn't be pure GQ, but it's Anthony Caponetto sort of continued that breeding, and like he decided to outcross it at that point. To me, GQ is kind of like his line, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know he doesn't work with it anymore, but like, I think that's maybe the difference between a line and a bloodline. Like gamma, like can you call something a gamma line diamond jungle after you've outcrossed it or bred it? You know what I mean? Like at some point, you kind of lose that
point.
I mean, and that's where people get confused with the labeling, and we talk about this all the time. But the labeling has to be really specific. You kind of have to, and the community also has to set guidelines. Like the Rita community has set a bar where, like, if it's not 50% super dwarf or dwarf, you can't call it that sort of thing.
I was just thinking about, our chat with
similar approach. Like we would have to come up with a system of labeling, whether it's what people do with the hypobreddles and put the percentage of the bloodline ahead of it or with it and kind of maintain it that way. But I could see somebody calling like a third generation gamma jag from gamma, like a 25% gamma jag or whatever, or third gen gamma jag or whatever the labeling would end up coming out to be agreed upon, some sort of additional explanation, or ditching the label altogether and then just maintaining that in its history and lineage, which is where some people aren't going to do that, because if morphs, are what you're going for, the lineage isn't as terribly specific. So
it takes more work, right? On behalf on the for the breeder. The truth is confusing sometimes, and people have to be willing to put in that time to actually explain to the customer what's actually going on. Otherwise they're just, say I sell somebody a 50% hypo, if I don't take the time to let them know like what that number means, what are they going to say 10 years from now if they decide they want to sell it? They're going to say, I have a hypobreddles, here you go. It's like it just takes a little bit more effort, I feel like, to keep what needs to be known, and then just hoping that people run with that.
And that's why you see issues with misrepresentation, is because of the effort required to maintain it. Sometimes it falls short for some people if it's not important, or they don't know the significance, or miscommunication, whatever. We're all human.
For sure.
Yeah, Tony brings up another good question in the same thread. How would you ideally label a project built on a single animal? Starting with an individual unique animal to establish a project foundation. I think of that in terms of your poison ivy stuff, Eric.
Yeah.
You know, one animal with a unique phenotype. The goal is to replicate that. And, you know, I think the honest way to replicate it is, or to represent that is like you've done, just, you know, you kept everything, you're trying to figure it out, but they're called PI animals or poison ivy animals. They're not, you're not labeling it as it's a pure poison ivy or whatever. It hails from poison ivy in whatever way you use your words to express that, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Like, how would, you know, say it wasn't such a crazy thing that you've got to hold close, but you still want to develop it further. How would you represent those? Should you hypothetically let some go? What would you call them?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Like,
I've never really
does the significance of what she was paired to matter? I mean, if there's nothing extreme on the male side, then you're just completing the pairing, you know?
Well, actually, you know what I bred her to? This one right here. So
nice.
Right. So my thought is that I don't want to, if I'm trying to see if this is a line bred trait or if it's a genetic trait, the very first pairing I did with her was to this GQ outcross wild caught animal, right? And the reason is because he was super light and bright and, you know, like
totally opposite of poison ivy.
Yes. Right. Yeah. And which just makes me think that there's something, you know, going on when so it followed suit with exactly what happened with, you know, Jake Milbrat when he had the wild caught, melanistic type animals or darker look animals, probably similar to what, you know, I know, Riley, you have, you know, you've had and seen and like these dark IJs that come in, you know, and they just kind of look, I think the Exantic stuff sort of has that look too, where it's like, it's just darker. It doesn't have that orange and yellow and black and chestnut and like those kind of colors.
Just black.
So that's what they sort of look like. He bred those together, hoping to just make darker and darker animals. At the same time, he was doing the same thing with jungle carpets, right? To sort of make just dark, you know, jungle carpets. The fact that all of the offspring from those two hatched out normal, he sold them all, right? And I've talked about this before, but he sold them all because they just look like normal IJs. But turns out as they grow, they just have more and more melanin that comes in and comes in and comes in. And that's exactly what I saw when I bred her to this one, right? The next pairing I did with her was to the tiger stuff. Just to see what happened. You know, I was trying to get as close to wild caught blood as I could, right? Just to sort of to see what happened. The babies from that pairing, same thing happened, right? You know, they were born. I do see with the GQ stuff, it has a lot of those. I think I've posted this animal a few times, but it's like this black melanistic look with these fire orange sides, which just screams more because it's just the melanistic. What's weird about those animals is like each time they shed, like the darkness kind of goes down further and further and further down the saddles until it's sort of like, you know, basically this black animal. The other interesting thing is like if you look at like this, right, the head stamp would just sort of like fill out till it was solid black. You know, like it would be born like this, and then just each shed slowly but surely, you know, this would, you know, scale by scale, it would be. So is it an IMG thing? Is it a, you know, similar to what you see in boas? Is it just a line bred trait? I don't know. I am just slowly working.
Those answers need to be worked out because it's if it's like a heritable Mendelian gene, then you have a morph. But if it's related to a line, then you have the subtleties of how to represent it that come afterwards. And that's what Tony was asking, like, what would you label that? Would you call that, the like future offspring poison ivy outcrosses, or poison ivy line animals, like 50% poison ivy line? Like, is that how
I guess if it just stayed, if it was just a line bred trait, I would probably call them like PI or something like that. You know what I mean? Something along those lines to sort of designate. I would think it would be similar to the tiger, right? If it's in that line, I would only call, yes, Balin and other people have outcrossed those tigers to other things, whether it be a gene or whether it be like if he outcrossed it to red, some people outcrossed it to make the citrus tigers, some people outcrossed it to make hypo tigers, axanthic tigers, all these different type of tigers, but all coming back to that, that tiger, original tiger line animals, right? So to me, I guess I would probably try to approach it the same way. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I would try to approach it, if you can trace back, if you have this melanistic IJ that, dark IJ that you have, and you can trace it back to a poison ivy line, then
a PIIJ or something.
PIIJ or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. We do sort of have a precedent established with the tiger IJs. That's a good point.
Right. So
makes sense to me.
I'm excited though to see, but here's the thing, right? Here's again the dilemma, right? You are working with this line and you're holding back all the babies because for a couple reasons, right? I don't want to put it into hands of people and like they, breed it to a jag. And again, not that I'm against that, but like, to me, it's like, how could you do that so early on in this process? It just seems silly to me because you can't ever take that back. Now it's a cross. And I think it's, if you're working with something like that, I think it's only responsible that you would not muddy the waters so early on in the thing. Christian was over yesterday, right? And when we were talking about some of the jungle stuff, and like when it comes to carpets, I think the one group of carpets that I am like not because I don't care about it, but like the jungle to me is the one that I sort of stayed away from and like didn't really get into like knowing all the different lines and blood, because it just seems like it's just at this point it's just a hodgepodge of yellow and black. I mean, am I wrong to think that way? I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I agree. I mean, I think there's exceptions, right? Like the gelatins,
sure,
and whatnot. Yeah. But more or less, I completely agree with that take.
Yeah,
and I think that can still be really cool, if you love orange and
I'm not knocking it.
Yeah,
no, absolutely.
I know you're not. Just for folks, if anybody out there is going, oh, my yellow
How
and black
dare
snakes.
you?
Yeah,
I have to be careful anymore.
I know, yeah, but I know that we both think they're still amazing animals. But in terms of what we want to work with, I completely see where you're coming from, and it makes sense to me. Yeah.
Yeah, so I the reason I'm like this is on my mind lately is because I think about poison ivy, I think about the limited bloodlines, I think about current availability of imports and the fickle nature and existence of that and how that can be taken away, and then how that comes into being responsible about our breeding choices and things. And obviously for me, I just had that second clutch of Papuans from that really dark female, and she hurt herself, and now she's she had to be euthanized. So there goes half of the founding stock for these animals that are not as unique, but like they're still wild caught or farm hatched lineaged animals, so they're as pure as the driven snow. And if there were ever to be anything unique that pops out of this clutch, it'd be like, well, mom's gone, so now the decision making is even more precarious, and that's when things like what do you hold back comes into play. And my stripe jungles, the male who founded that line with my female, I had to euthanize him too, and so now the 2.2 animals from that group are a little bit more valuable. I kept 2 males just because, in case you need a backup. But now it's not just backup material. Now it's, preservation of a potential line material. And, at one point I was thinking like, oh, maybe I'll sell the second male if, everything works out down the line. And now I'm like, I can't sell anything from that now. Like what's sold, I probably should have kept. So
I have a lot of those projects to where I kept all, if not most of those, right? Citrus tigers is one.
Yeah.
Poison ivy's another. Lightning line jungles is another. These are bloodlines basically that, that really don't exist in the hobby except for what I have or what other people have either got for me or I put them in the hands of people that I know are going to do good things with them. But I don't know. A citrus tiger would be lost, and that would be a shame. Although, this was always my argument when it came to just how we're not cohesive, I guess, as carpet python breeders. It's sort of like we're all in our own little camps, and like each camp has a different thought in as far as like, purity, lines, just, because if you look at jungles, right, just take jungles, right, you'll go back and you'll go, okay, pure. And when I say this pure, I mean like what we consider pure, so we can have that argument another day. But like, pure. Oh, question mark. This animal is a question mark. So people still call it a jungle carpet. They still say it's yellow and black and has all the thing, and they accept it and it's good. Citrus tigers, right? It's like pure. Question. That is sacrilege animal. It must be destroyed, And it's just like, well, why with the coastal carpets is it not okay? With the, jungles, it is okay. It just, I don't know. I guess as somebody that loves all carpet pythons, I don't really
see the difference.
I don't see the difference,
Yeah, I'm with you.
So
I don't get it.
I don't know. It's just weird, if you look at that animal, that's the questionable animal in the citrus tiger lineage, right? It was sold as a jungle carpet, but like, when it was posted up on MP, it was, no, that's a coastal carpet. So the coastal carpet people designated that animal as a coastal carpet, but now when you fast forward to today, it's like, nope, that's a questionable animal. Nope, that's definitely a jungle carpet. Nope. And then you look at it and aren't they probably all the same anyway? So
how dare you?
It's like, I don't know. Sometimes we just get locked in these ideas of these things. And is it real or is it just things that we make up to make us feel better about what we're doing? Or
definitely the second one.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Humans have, for some reason, just an innate desire to categorize and group so that our, monkey brains can understand. And usually that leads to more problems and confusion than.
Well, yeah. I think
Anyway.
that's why I'm so attracted to the IJs, Papuan carpets, whatever you want to call them, is because I think I think that we, that are breeding them and trying to work with them and establish more of these lines or looks or, whatever, I think we have our responsibility to sort of not make the mistakes. And when I say mistakes, it's easy to sit back here now and say, oh, that was a mistake that you did that, but if you look at the time, it's very similar to what happened with chondros, right? It's very similar to the same chain of events. Like when, back in those days, it was a chondro. A chondro was a chondro, you know. Maybe people didn't breed Aru and Biak because they looked so different, but at the time, a green tree python was a green tree python, and you bred it to another green tree python, and you're just like, oh, look at this one. It's green with a white stripe, and that one's green with a white stripe. Okay, breed them together. And today you may say, yeah, but that one is not an Aru. That one, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, it's easy for us to sit here in 2021 and say, why did they do that? You know, like why did they do that? Carpet pythons came in and they were just carpet pythons.
Right.
You know? This one came from Queensland, and this one came from, you know, Cairns, and this one came from Rockhampton, and this one came from Brisbane. And
no, 100%. I mean, you can apply the same thing to the Aspidites stuff. You know, we probably did have locality womas and, you know, well delineated Eastern Western blackheads, but everyone's like, Blackhead, you know, Woma. So it's like you're saying, hindsight's 2020, but you can't really fault the people for doing that back then with the knowledge that they had and probably the limited amount of animals.
So I think it would be, you know, if 20 years from now, you know, hopefully people are still doing this and are in the hobby and, you know, whatever, maybe I'll be retired by that point. Who knows? I don't know. But I think that it's funny. We were talking about this last night on NPR. It's like, I said, oh, and you know, when I almost got, you know, like when I had to throw the guy out of the store with the knife, and like you see, like he's trying to stab you, and this could be it, and you know, like all these situations where it could be the end. I said to him, like, would you keep NPR going? I probably should teach you like how to edit this stuff, and you know, like I should show you, like, I don't know, like the passcodes and passwords and all these things, to all these different things that, you know, could just all disappear. But anyway, I just think that, you know, hopefully that the people 20 years from now don't have the same problem, because we did our due diligence to make sure that we were establishing these IJs as pure as we could, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's the best thing that we can do, right? Is try to learn from the past and do things as best as we can now.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think this is why to sort of like, you know, I think the whole idea of me moving away from breeding more stuff and not worrying about a caramel granite zebra, it's not because I don't like it. It's just because I feel that I have a responsibility to sort of, you know, if I'm going to be an IJ person and have all these animals, I think it's the responsibility of myself to sort of breed those and not breed the, you know, gamma diamond jungle zebra thing, if you will.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So, I think that you find your little groove, right? And figure out what you want to do. At least folks that are introspective and you know, think about the end goal of what they're doing, you know.
Right.
I think that's a very healthy and positive thing, to know what you're trying to accomplish, and then you know, cut the fat, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I have 10 different, you know, IJs, all different bloodlines, some farm hatched, some stemming from farm hatched, some selectively bred but pure. I mean, but all different, you know, 5.5 animals. That's a pretty healthy founding stock for one small little contribution that I could make to that, you know, goal. And you've got, you know, 30 or 40 of them, and that's a ton of diversity and an exponential number of potential right there. And, you know, Chris Salemi and Mike Curtin and Jacob Rotz and all these people that have, you know, IJs, Billy, who else? Like tons of people have. Nick
Katz,
has them.
Tony,
Steven Katz, Tony. Like, a lot of people have them. And as long as there's a good number of people that are of like mind, that keep that pure stuff, the wild type, the straight farm hatched or imported, or from, you know, imported but, you know, documented, we are in, I think, you know, pretty good standing to to create a good foundational layer in the United States Morelia hobby for Papuan carpets to have a huge ground floor of diversity.
Yeah. So every opportunity I have to get a wild animal,
Jake the
or yeah, right, or get he'll make his debut on the Field Herping podcast episode 1, and we will hear from Jacob Bratz from JLB Morelia and his encounter with an Atrox, if you will. So
oh boy,
it's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's sort of where my head's at. And you look at some of these, like that one that Chris Salemi has. Every time he posts it,
I think it's nasty.
Oh man, I mean, like I'm just like, I guess we should probably find it and share it.
Yeah,
people
we
can
have
see.
to. I mean, you brought it up. You might as well. It's that epic. It's like I don't know if it's got a name for it, but you should call it Beetlejuice because every time it comes up, it's like, bing, there it is.
Yeah, it's like, wow, okay, that thing is amazing.
Yeah, that's like the only thing I can say every time I see that. It's just like, wow, I need that. I need that in this room right here. I'd love to be able to see that.
Right here. Just put it right next to my desk.
Oh, man. That's such a nice animal.
to the archives.
The cue theme song and like the chair shoots down on the floor, down like a rock cavern, like slide into the bat cave.
The eternal drum roll.
That's right. I'm sorry, I'm taking too long with this. Dear, oh dear.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Epic fail. Should have these on the ready. It's not on his page. That's the problem. So I keep forgetting. I have to go to
Messenger. It's his fault. Got it. Yeah. Way to go, Chris. Way to hide the gem from us that we know of.
In the meantime, Riley, Crebo egg still looking good? I think he froze right when I asked him that question. Perfect.
Wow.
Amazing.
Is he still frozen?
Oh yeah, he's frozen.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh man,
he's got that look.
We started talking about Crebo eggs, and he's just like, bah!
He's like, I gotta go check.
Yeah, exactly.
Be right back.
Oh, where did he post that? Did he post it in the pick of the week or? Interesting.
I will take this time to give the people what they all actually came to hear, which is a WOMA fun fact for the day. Did you all know that WOMAs in a radio tracking study near Brigalow shelter in underground burrows 69% of the time? And the presence of underground burrows, subterraneous hiding locations, was far more significant in determining their distribution than habitat type or climate or anything of that sort.
Huh. Interesting.
Nerd fact of the day about WOMAs. So in terms of conservation, that would mean it's probably far more important to keep our burrows than to keep anything else. And burrows go bye-bye when you till land for agriculture and stuff like that. So something to note.
There we go. Finally. Good Lord, Eric.
Good, because I ran out of fact. Yeah, he'll be back.
He's totally
he's busy battling the thermostat click or something like that. It finally got to him.
There it is.
Ooh,
look at that animal. Now, some people may stay in that stripe that there's dirt and like it's dirty, but
no, I think that looks just dope.
There's just something about that color, man. I don't know. I just love that snake. That snake is impressive. I love how
wild caught.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. It's very cool that a wild one has such a clean stripe that way.
Yeah.
Justin says there's dirt in that stripe.
See?
Throw it away.
Yes. How dare you post such an ugly snake?
No, that's gorgeous. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. I think I do like stripes.
Do you? Yeah.
Yeah. Every time I don't have anything that's striped, but every time you whip out one of the pictures with a really nice striped snake, something is awakened within me.
Yeah. Like the striped Darwin I got from Nick. Yeah.
Mm.
So this is I'll share this and then we can I don't know, not video file. Screen share. Application window. So
Should do
these
a fun
are
fact today. I'll do it.
yes, do it. I like it. So these are all wild caught animals. That's one.
Wow.
That's another. And that's that one. So that's his 3.
They're beautiful. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's just unbelievably vibrant colors.
Yeah.
On those Papuans.
Yeah. Okay, there we go. So yeah, there's that's some nice stuff. So
nice stuff for sure. Yeah. And
Eric to the archives. I'm looking at that's what was going on.
And you're not expecting any Papuan clutches this year, huh?
Mm-mm.
Just decided
No.
it wasn't the thing. All right. Is that a first?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the first year I didn't produce Papuans. Yeah. I don't know why I didn't. I kind of wanted to take the year off. I just wanted to try diamonds. I think like when I kind of focus on like one subspecies or species or how long do I walk? Oh, Riley's back. Okay. I try to go 6 months.
6 months.
6 months. I don't even know if that's long enough, but
do you preemptively treat against anything? Do you look, just hit it with a deworming right away, or do you kind of wait and see what the animal is looking like?
I kind of wait. To me, I want to get that I get it eating and make sure it's hydrated and make sure it's looking good, and like I don't know. I think you can always kind of deal with that later on. And then I sort of take the, like do fecals and stuff like that and take it to the vet, get it checked out, make sure everything is good, make sure that there's no respiratory issues or, anything that looks strange or anything like that. And I kind of like, if anything else is in quarantine, while I was in quarantine, then stay in quarantine, because I guess it would be silly to have like a captive bred animal. Actually, to be honest, I even kept them separate. So the wild caught stuff I kept in a separate room. That's all just wild caught. And like, for instance, if I got a captive hatched captive born baby, that's, doesn't necessarily have to be an IJ or whatever it is, I'd keep that in a separate spot. And, that would probably get into my collection sooner rather than the wild caught stuff. But
definitely, yeah, that makes sense for sure.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, and then I treat it, and then so far I've been pretty lucky with it. The cool stuff with Dan is he kind of did all that, established it, got it going, eating, all that kind of stuff. So kind of makes it
all
much.
The ticks.
Yeah, it kind of makes it much easier.
Nice.
So
very cool.
So
for the Woma fun fact, with so much time in burrows, do you believe there's a missed opportunity in captivity? Are we missing out on behaviors that we may not typically see? Yep. I mean, probably. I'd be very interested to see how much time they would use it if it's offered. The implication for that heavy usage in the wild is just because it's so much more thermally stable. In terms of, they live in these arid places where it's going to be boiling hot, super cold in the winter, and underground maintains reasonable conditions way better than any shelter above ground. So it's probably a necessity thing, but I bet if you gave it to them, they'd use it.
Yeah, I think it would be cool to see it like smash a prey.
That would be
farm
sweet.
Woma cage.
I'm on it. I'm gonna do that.
You see the Woma like smash the its prey up against the wall, the burrow, like
You could probably, if somebody was creative enough and had the right materials, I bet you could do something like that with a glass aquarium. You just like fill it and then have like a balloon and a little trail out or something, then pop the balloon.
You can make it with excavator clay and then put a Woma in it and set it up so you've got a little window, no problem.
That'd be badass.
Yeah, that would be cool. Get on it, Lucas.
Things.
Yes. Yeah. I need a whole room. I'm running out of space here. I'm like already playing with the idea of getting rid of music corner for more cages and yeah.
You're sick. You're sick.
I have a problem.
Yeah, that's okay. We support your problem.
That's right. 100%.
Yeah.
And then you see Justin posting up his Gidgy skinks and stuff, and you're like, oh God, man.
Yeah, those are cool. I know. I always have that temptation at work. I'm always playing with fun lizards.
Yeah.
It's killing me. I want this pair of monkey anoles that we have at the shop because they're not psychotic like anoles. They're not crazy. They're not bitey. They're not flighty, but they're like long prehensile tail, small little lizards, just really unique and just genuinely infatuated with something so unusual.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's danger. So dangerous. That it turned on my boss because he decided to keep some Bredleys. So now we've got a group of baby Bredley shop.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Good, Grant. Yeah, he said when I talked to him, he was like, "Oh, I like those." I was like, "Oh."
yeah. I may have influenced him in that way.
Hopefully, if all goes well, I can send some more for your group. Oh.
Who knows what the future holds, man? More Blackheads, more Womas.
I want those.
Yes.
I'm like infatuated with those leaf-tail geckos, man. Holy shit,
those are cool.
They're cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
Oh, there's so many. Yeah, when you start opening up the Pandora's box of like, it's like for the longest time I was just a Python guy, and like, that I never was into like I love venomous, like like admiring it from. I would never keep venomous, in my place. So like the Australian stuff never like you know what I mean. It's kind of like out of sight, out of mind type of thing. Like
for sure.
Yeah, I know. Blackhead, and I mean a black snake, and all that stuff, but
yeah.
Then you never like go down on the which one? All of them, Justin. All of the leaf tails. Yes, there's so many awesome ones. But you sort of like keep the lizard part of Australia out of your head, and then like once you open up that box, you're like, what the hell?
I'm scared.
God damn it!
Alan sent me a picture of Aki eggs, and I was like, ah.
Oh, he's the worst. Yeah. Stay away from that guy. He'll put Akis in your hand, and you won't even realize it.
But I want them in my hand.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Need to never leave again and quit music.
Oh, wait. Justin has leaf tails. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Of course he does.
I forgot he had those.
Of course he does.
He also has some other stuff. I'm going to send him a message and check in with it after the show.
Oh, man. You guys are enablers. Danger. I'm going to turn my phone off after this.
Is it the... Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm just gonna message you guys.
He said, Mwah! I'm gonna message you too. This is great television.
Yes. Excellent. Podcast is excellent as well. Is that accurate or
what?
Oh, okay. Yes.
What?
Boring.
Oh, those two. Yes.
I was like, what?
But yeah, what you said's kind of cool too, I guess. No, I'm just kidding.
Way
much cooler than those.
Yeah, get out of here.
Much cooler. Don't
Lucas,
worry.
This isn't Aspadites and tea time.
Aspadites and what would it be? I don't know.
Aspadites and alcohol.
Alcohol. There. Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
Bingo.
Broad spectrum. It's all encompassing. No. Yeah.
And Lucas is hammered. Oh man,
I've never seen that. Hmm.
Well,
we will at the next holiday show.
Yeah.
I know I had to be on my best behavior for my first one, but
Oh, you
All bets
restrained.
are off next time.
Yeah.
So
Stevens is
Yes.
the devil.
Yes, Stevens is
Yes.
he's an evil temptress.
So funny.
Yes. Kimberly
good.
Rocks and all that. Ah,
The blue
many
tree
things.
monitors and
Oh, those are nice.
yeah, he's got blue trees. He's got Kimberly's. He's got peacocks. He's got
oh my goodness.
too much stuff. He's
So
got a female
I think-
Savannah monitor too.
Oh, really? Okay.
Gonna loan him my boy at some point.
There you go.
Yeah.
I think I can nail this outro pretty good.
Okay.
If you guys are ready to
all
go.
right. Yeah, let's do it.
I've been practicing. Okay.
Yeah. Now, is this going to include the new show?
Yes.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
You're all are going to
So-
hear it first.
If you wait, what new show? Wait.
You're
the
the
Australian one?
Australian one, yeah.
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 Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're on the same page. So if you would like to support us in what we do, here are a few ways that you can do that. First, you can follow us on whatever podcast app you choose, whatever one you use. And I'm going to give you a list of what's on the network currently. We have Morelia Python Radio, Carpet Cliff Notes, Colubrid Corner, Student of the Serpent, the Field Herping Podcast, the Monitor Keeping Podcast, and the Australian Herpetological Podcast. So there you go. And then we also have Carpets and Coffee, which, as you're watching now, we stream live every Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 10 a.m. Pacific Time. If you want to stay up to date with us, you can go to the website, moreliapythonradio.com. If you have a question or a comment, send an email to info@moreliapythonradio.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and of course, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Morelia Python NPR Network is the way to go. If you're looking for some swag, you can head over to the Teespring store at the Morelia Python Network Teespring store. And finally, we have a Patreon, which we have two tiers at currently. We have the $5 tier to buy us a cup of coffee. Thank you. Appreciate the support. And then we also have the $10 inland tier, which we do a once a month private live stream for all the probably more levels to come as we go. And I would say the most important thing that you can do to help reptiles is support USARK. So go over to USARK. You can sign up for the newsletters, stay up to date with any legislations, alerts that are going on in your area or across the U.S. And just because it's not in your area doesn't mean that you can't help and help the people and support them and try to make these legislation that seems awful crazy at the current time. It seemed to have died down a bit at the moment, but it was kind of crazy for a moment. But you can also support them by just a $5 a month, donation that they do. And you can sign up for that. And that's it for what I got.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Well done.
Yeah.
If we get
Mic drop.
5 new patrons on the Patreon, I'll grow my beard out as long as Riley's.
Oh, shit. Wow.
You heard it here.
Somebody get the Miracle Grow. He gonna need some help.
What? No. I don't need any help. Let me tell you. No.
Oh, there you
You're
go.
gonna get one of those little tanning things and like sequester the UV just to your chin to really like UVA grow this chin hair.
Yeah. Look, Luke, it's just because me and you are smooth, right? That doesn't mean we can't grow it quick. I mean, my hair grows like,
Mine doesn't. Mine's
I have a
slow.
husky. He sheds. I'll just put that on my face.
Just
like-
get duct tape it everywhere.
slap.
Alex, how long would that take? 24 years and counting.
There you go.
All right.
guys. Great
Well,
times.
Yeah.
Yes.
If anyone wants to get a hold of you, Lucas, how do they find
Oh, yeah.
you?
All the things, Centralian Exotics, www. www.centralingexotics.com.
Website.
I forgot.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead. I forgot. I screwed it up.
Did we forget one?
Yeah, his.
Oh.
The humans of ultra culture.
Oh my god, that wasn't
What
gonna
a
say anything.
loser.
I don't know.
Lucas, you didn't even say anything.
Well, and
He's like grabbing the table. You son of a bitch.
All
No,
of a
it's
sudden,
okay.
his mic gets unplugged. Things just goes. Poof.
I don't do a very good job putting them out, but there is a new one with Dr. Julander that was a really good time, and I'll be again
Excellent
talking to Casey
Yes.
from Zion Hill soon. So
Well done.
Yes.
Check it out.
Done.
And when he pulled
Alrighty.
out all those snakes at the end,
Yeah.
just great.
Justin's show and tell kicked butt. He brought out
Yes, it did.
the big guns.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Yes. Where can the people find you, Mr. Riley Jimison?
Nowhere. Can't find me. I'm
I have
not
your
real.
address now. I'm coming.
I'm a
I'm coming
figment
over.
of your imagination. I don't exist. You're all
He's
being
unreachable.
dosed with acid by the government, and you just don't know it. It's in your
Yes.
water.
Fluorine.
Yeah. No, you can find me on YouTube under my name, Riley Jimison, or on social media just under Riley's Reptiles. If you want.
Tony, come on, man.
Like the hair told Riley's head. I'm out. Yeah. But it's only okay coming from him because he's also balder than me. So,
Okay, fair enough.
so. Alrighty. Well, good
All right.
good chatting, gentlemen. I enjoy a little brain exercise every week when we do this. This is fun.
Yeah.
And
Heck yeah.
hopefully next week we'll have some more exciting, cool stuff, and maybe even babies hatching or more eggs laid or something. Who knows? So
It's just going to keep getting more interesting for the next few months. Yeah.
We'll have a locality carpet and a fun fact of the day.
woohoo!
Woo!
Yeah.
All right. Have a
Alrighty.
great week, everybody.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Later.
Bye.
See ya.